Up next is a session that speaks to the future of the legal profession, and that session is the Young Lawyers Forum. And to coordinate this section, please make welcome Ms. Ebere Ezike. Please let's give her a round of applause as she comes forward.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay. So this particular session is for young lawyers, and the title is Navigating the Future, Building Ethical, Resilient, and Relevant Legal Careers. I hope there are young lawyers in the house. If you're a young lawyer, just say hi. All right, great, awesome. So I will just be introducing the panelists and the panel chair. All right. So Ayodele Ashata Kadiri, Senior Associate Templars and author of The First 5 Years. Please come to the stage. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please keep clapping until she comes on stage. Temi Adetono, Associate, Olaniwun Ajayi LP. Please come up. Thank you. Thank you very much. We can do better, please. Let's keep clapping. Sarah Ndudim, Senior Associate and Team Lead, Dispute Resolution, Juris Law. Oladuni Bada, Legal Officer, Edge Plus Capital. Thank you very much. Let's keep clapping. Peace Adeleye, Senior Associate, G. Liars. Peace will be joining us online. So we can project that, please, so that we can know she's present. Peace Adeleye.
Hi.
And to our panel chair, Izuchukwu Temilade Nwagbara, co-chair, British Nigeria Law Forum, Junior Lawyers Division. Okay, Peace is there. Hi, Peace. Can you confirm that you can hear us and you can see us?
Yes, you're audible and I can see as well.
I just wanted to make that confirmation before I hand over to the panel chair. Okay. Is she on? Is Peace Adeleye on?
Hi, I can hear you.
Can you confirm that you can hear us? Okay, great, awesome. All right, over to you, panel chair.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ebere, and I believe we can all hear me. It's an honor to be here to chair this panel, and I believe we're all going to learn certain things as young lawyers. So thank you very much once again to the Young Lawyers Forum and to the organizers of this conference. My name remains Izuchukwu Temilade Nwagwara, and just as the topic of the session says, building the future, how to build the future. And so this question is for my panelists, starting from Ayodele. Has mentoring played a role in your career development? Because this session is about building careers. Has mentoring played a role in your career development? And if so, how did you form that mentor-mentee relationship with that supposed mentor? And what tips can you give to young lawyers trying to approach a prospective mentor?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here and to share my experience. So I think mentorship is important. I would just say that I didn't really approach mentorship like, oh, I like this person, I want this person. I didn't have that mindset. I think it was more of actually just matching the energy that I was given. So what I will just say is I was very fortunate to start my career in a place where there was a kind of like a collegiate team spirit. So we're encouraged very early enough to always, don't just do things on your own. Always have somebody look at the email before you send it out. Always bounce ideas off of people before you do something. And so just having that kind of system encouraged me to always say, can you just check this email before it goes out? But I think what also helped was that having like just also having a good character, being respectful and courteous really helps. Even if somebody says they are really busy, and I'm sure that some of us that are young lawyers would appreciate the fact that sometimes when you were trying to talk to your seniors, they seem to never have your time. But having that, just being that extra polite, extra courteous person, they know that, oh, for this person, I can actually decide to just do that. So I think for me, I would just say that just being very polite, courteous, made people take an extra interest in me. Okay. And then what I will also say is that just having that, going the extra mile. So when they say do good work, nobody expects you to work like maybe an SAN or give the quality of work that an SAN has done. But people want to see that thoroughness and willingness to learn, and more importantly, willingness to take feedback. So when you have all of these things, even people that ordinarily would not look at you twice, they can always just, say, I had people that, so for example, I think basically, I was just fortunate enough to have people that were interested. So the way I started my career, we were in an open plan office where I had 2 senior associates that could see my screen, my laptop screen from where I was. And I can't count how many times somebody would just say, this email you are going to send will put you into trouble. Wow. Don't send it.
Okay.
So there were just those people that didn't mind their business as far as I was concerned. Okay. But what I would say is, you can, people say go for what you want. So if you feel like this person, I like the way you walk, I like the way you talk, you can reach out to them and say, would you be willing to mentor me? But what I would just say is that whatever your hands find to do well. In that process, just even in the team that you currently find yourself or the person you're currently reporting to, when the person sees that you're teachable, you're malleable, they can by themselves say, you know what, I'm going to make it my personal responsibility to make sure that you really do well at this. So I don't know if I answered the question.
Oh, thank you very much. So in your own situation, mentoring found you. Exactly. You didn't particularly seek mentoring out. Yes. So Sarah, the question goes to you as well. In your own case, did you seek mentoring, or did mentoring find you the way it found Ayodele?
Well, for me, I'll say it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yes, I actually made conscious effort to meet people, ask questions, and even request to be mentored. And then there were situations where mentorship actually found me. And even, I think we should try to break free from trying to be so traditional that it has to be a mentor-mentee relationship, that you have to say, this person is my mentor. There are, like Ayodele said, there are people around you, close to you, that you don't even have to ask, be my mentor. They're there to teach you. If you ask questions and you learn from them, you can enjoy that relationship even without calling it a mentor-mentee relationship. That's what I would say.
Oh, that's nice. And Timmy, what about you? Did you seek mentoring, or did mentoring find you? And have you found it useful in your career development?
Okay. So yeah, I agree with Ayodele and Sarah. Because, first of all, if you ask yourself the question, in your journey so far, has there been any point in time where you did not have guidance? Be it in your academics at uni or law school, you did seek guidance from people. So why should that change now that you're in practice, right? So no one's a government unto themselves. In fact, your first few years of practice is a mix of you learning and unlearning, right? So to know what to learn, what to unlearn, what to do, what not to do, guidance is important. So yes, you do need mentorship. I needed it. I still need it till now. So yeah, it's also a mix. Some found me. I went after some. I had the opportunity to participate in some mentorship programs because my firm, for example, runs one for young associates where you're partnered with a supervisor, like a partner or senior associate, who can guide you and teach you the ropes at an early stage. So it's basically a mix of it. And sometimes, just falls into your lap. You just develop a relationship that you do not necessarily intend to be a formal mentorship relationship, like she said. And it blossoms into something that blesses you. And in terms of how to reach out and form these relationships, tips on how to build these relationships, I think the first thing is always, there's something someone told me a long time ago about understanding why, right? There's several facets to you several aspects to your life, it's rare for you to have one mentor that can touch on each and every one of these phases, right? You're a lawyer, you're a human being with your personal life, your spiritual life, whatever. It's rare to have someone that can speak to these different aspects of you.
And they all concern your career development because...
No, just, well, yes, they all feed into, you as a person, right? So the point is, understanding why you're approaching a certain person and what you intend to get out of it would also be important. So, and I mean, for instance as well, for someone who leans heavily into the transactions aspect of being a lawyer, it would be more in step for me to reach out to people that have experience in this if I wanted professional guidance, as opposed to reaching out to say, someone that strictly does litigation. Not to say that they don't have insight to offer, but you can see why
you're seeking
aligning, with the person would be of use. So I think, and also as in determining your why as well, the next step would be to understand, pick out who aligns with you. So you have to do your own work. What has this person done? I see their career path, I like it. I want to know how they did it. And then I think two more things. Maybe one, be respectful. And, you would think it's a given, right? But it's something you have to emphasize for most people because you find that people are not necessarily very respectful. So a friend of mine had an instance recently where someone that reached out for mentorship on a particular point. Again, he had done the first two things right. He identified that she had done certain things. He wanted to do the same thing. Oh, how did you? But he was then not very respectful in that, respectful of the person and of her time as well, in that he asked the question, he didn't get a response in like 2 hours. And this thing young people tend to do where maybe quotes the message with question marks. Again, like, alpha. And so he did the same thing. He just quoted it with 3 question marks. And the person was like, who are you talking to?
Are you entitled to
Yeah, exactly. So there's a sense of entitlement, right, that greeted that entire interaction and puts the person in not so favorable light. So you need to be respectful of the person, of their time, and of the audience that they've given you. And then I think finally I would say be of use.
Okay.
Some of the best friends, mentors that I have, it's a reciprocal relationship. Right. Even in my workplace as well, they always say the mentor-mentee relationship goes both ways.
Okay.
So when you're talking to a partner and you're giving them, so they're giving you insights and the benefit of their wisdom and experience, they also try to tap into the benefit of your youth.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your perspective? What's going on? Okay. What can I learn from you?
That's
so
good.
Yeah, just be useful, and you find that people tend to think about you if you're also of use to them, because we're human beings. That's how it really works.
So be respectful and be useful.
Be useful.
Thank you very much. So Peace, are you with us? That question would also go to you. Has mentoring played a role in your career development? If so, how did you form the mentor-mentee relationship? Did you seek mentoring, or did mentoring find you, like some of our panelists?
Okay, hi everyone, and thank you so much for the invitation. Please, can you just confirm that I'm audible, please?
Yes, you are now.
Okay, thank you so much. So yes, I'd say that I lend my voice to what the co-panelists have said about mentoring. From my own perspective, I think that many times we try to formalize mentoring. It may not be so formal. It could be your colleague at work, your friend, your buddy, someone you see that is doing something that you really want to do. But I think that for young lawyers, something they need to have in their mind is understand why you need a mentor. Understand what you need, where you're going to, how you can achieve what you need, or people that you see have done the things or are at where you want to be. See the things they are doing. So for me, I think that it was both ways for me. Mentoring, I sought out for people. I also, some found me. I think I had the opportunity of starting my career at a very good place, and I also continued my career at a very good place. I think that for me, I highlighted 2 places where one is actively reaching out to a mentor helped me. The second one is passively looking at somebody whose life, whose ethics, whose way of doing things align with my trajectory, and just copying them, just doing what they do. Oh, I see this person is doing this. This is where I want to be. This is the trajectory I see for my life. I see A, B, C person doing it. I'm just saying, okay, what have they done? How are they doing what they're doing? So what I've done is many times I just choose those people's profile and say, yeah, this is what this person is doing. How do I do it? How if this person is in my situation, what would the person do? So these are the things that echo in my mind, and actively, unconsciously to the mentor, they are mentoring me, but consciously to me, I'm being mentored. Second thing is actively seeking out a mentor. Depending on the field you want to go to, many times in my career, I've had to reach out to people or ask people to connect me with somebody just to be mentored. So I think it's both ways. I think it's both ways.
No, thank you very much, Peace. And the 4 panelists that have spoken so far are in traditional law firms, per se. And now to Duni, who is an in-house counsel. You've gone in-house, and you're seeking a career in-house, basically, and you're building a career in-house. Has mentoring also played a role in your career development in-house? Did you seek it? I mean, are you trying to did you reach out to the general counsel in your company or in another company, or did they reach out to you like, oh, I like you and I like what you're doing?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so to answer your question, I think that I've always been a firm believer in the statement that network is net worth, right? So, and when I think mentoring, I also think along the lines of networking as well, because you can't necessarily achieve, I don't think that you can necessarily achieve true mentoring without, having not networked with your mentor, as the case may be. So far in my career, I think mentoring has been a very huge into getting me where I am and even currently what I do. So I started out in my practice in a law firm before proceeding in-house. And of course, as we all know, in a typical law firm, you really can't get so far without mentoring, right? You need the help of your associates and partners, as the case might be. So I think it's very, very important to also note that at the time when I now transition from
law firm into
in-house, that same mentorship came in handy because I mean it's like a totally different ballgame, right? Entirely, and we need the help of especially if you've already established those genuine relationships, right? They can help you along the way because you'd get, just as Timmy had said, no man is a government on his own. So you would definitely reach places, or there would definitely be instances where you may not necessarily understand certain things, or you may not be able to provide necessary advice on certain things that you need to consult with someone, right? And I would want to depart from traditional mentality that in a mentorship relationship, it's from someone who is more senior.
Your immediate
exactly, your
senior,
and then the mentee is really a junior. I believe that, just as I think Pete had mentioned earlier, mentorship can also exist amongst your peers, right? There might be someone who knows, a certain aspect of law better than you, and by seeking, their knowledge, seeking them out, in that instance, become your mentors as well. Yes, and I just also want to talk about the fact that, when it comes to mentoring, it's just like every other person has said. It's not just enough for you to seek out a person, right? You have to be very respectful in your approach. Remove that sense of entitlement that you should be able to. You're probably a force to be reckoned with in this area, so you should be able to answer me when I, approach you and all of that. And then you also need to be someone who is worth mentoring.
Okay.
Very, very important point, because you cannot just approach someone and say, okay, I want you to mentor me.
Build me up.
I want you to, yeah, exactly, without there being some form of, and it doesn't have to be any direct benefit to mentor, right? It could just be something as abstract as, just being useful in Femi's parlance, right? And I remember specifically when, at the point, like at the time I started in-house practice, I had approached someone who is like currently still a mentor to me, right? Corporate finance, specifically supply chain finance. And, till today, we still have that mentor-mentee relationship. But then, every now and then, he calls me to, proffer some legal advice on certain things. As much as, it's almost like a contact relationship, right? And yeah, so, but essentially, in a nutshell, mentorship is really essential to, developing one's practice. And
yeah, thank you very much. And so, thank you very much, panelists. Now, this question, because I want this panel session to be very practical for young lawyers. And so there seems to be about 3 routes of career progression in legal practice all over the world and in Nigeria. Not strictly 3, because there's the option of being an academic or fusing academia with practice into what is now popularly known as pracademic. So these 3 routes are getting into a law firm, working your way up from associate to senior associate, managing counsel, and possibly partner if you're a good rainmaker and you're able to convince your partners to make you a partner. So that's the first route. Second one is going out, work your career as a legal officer and possibly become general counsel. And working in the civil service would be, for all intents and purposes, be deemed as working in-house. And 3, be an entrepreneur and undertake your own practice. Fish for your own clients, build a law firm as a sole proprietor or in partnership with others. Ideally, you seem to be on the first route. How can a young lawyer looking to adopt the first route, that's going into a law firm, build your way up from associate to senior associate, managing partner, and if possible, partner, how can a young lawyer looking to go and adopt that first route go about it and find satisfaction, particularly if the goal is to become a partner? Peace and Sarah, you would also have to answer these questions, please. And so,
okay, thank you very much for the question. If you really want to know the answer to the question, I already wrote it in my book. It's the memoir. It sets out the first 5 years of my career, and I really say, I talk about a lot of things in there. Sorry. So I talk about a lot of things in my memoir. I talk about, should I go and do my LLM? Should I not go and do my LLM? Specializations and all that. So please, it's available on Roving Heights, and I have a few copies here. I'm not really just selling my book. If I may say so myself, it's a really good book. Okay. And to be honest, I don't hold anything back. I really give it to you the way it's supposed to be. But that said, so I think maybe the first thing I'll say is that you really need, and so let me add to the part that is there, and to say that one other part you've not mentioned is the fact that you can actually, you're not limited to pursuing a career in Nigerian law firm anymore. So you see that a lot of people have gone to, in fact, some people have left from Nigerian law firms into other law firms abroad by different programs. Some people have left Nigerian law firms to join maybe an Amazon. There are so many of them. If you go on LinkedIn, you see a few. So I just want to add another career track to it and say you can be qualified in New York, Canada, and then be working in, say, Linklaters is a very, very valid option. But I think the most important thing I'll say is that for you to be able to stay on track of maybe associate, senior associate, and partner, I would say is to define success. What does success mean to you? When you define that, you'll be able to stay. And the reason I say so is that because you'll be some offers will come your way, some things will happen, different things, you'll meet with your friends, you hear the grass is greener on the other side. The grass always looks greener on the other side. So, but you need to know and define success. If success to you is, I need to stay here, build a reputation as an expert in this, grow through the ranks, become a senior associate, and then start doing business development and become a partner, then that is where you're going to be. But if you don't define what success means to you, it means that once you hear that your friend got LLM into Oxford, you start thinking, what am I doing in my life? When you hear that, oh, somebody just got an offer into Flutterwave, you're like, ha, am I sure I'm doing the right thing? When you hear that your friend just signed something, and paying them in USD, you're like, I'm even still fighting for my leave allowance in this office. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't really have anything to tell you like, oh, there's one magic formula. But what I can tell you is, once you identify what success means to you, it makes it clearer. So whether anything is happening in Oxford is not your business, because you know that, oh, this is where I want to go. I want to make a name for myself. I want to share in profits, and I want to bring business so that I can be worthy. Because of course, they won't make you partner and then you are there just working it and you're not bringing anything in. So it's a very, very important, like it's a very, very big decision to make. And of course, it is not easy. It's not rosy. It's not about just going to LinkedIn to say, happy to advise on. You need to do the dirty work. You need to work Saturday and Sunday sometimes. You'll be yelled at by in-house counsel. You'll be yelled at by, sometimes people that you work with. Not that that is how work should be. I don't believe that people should be yelled at. But the thing is that when things get really pressured, you see people, as they will say, you see their true color. You see the real me. You see people in that. So it's not tough. It's not all rosy. It's not about just, signing ceremonies and all that. There's hard work. There's grit. There's, just all of that. So what I would say is define what success means to you. Once you have that, even when the hard days come, you are able to say, you know what, I made this decision. I walked into this thing with my 2 eyes wide open, and I need to pay the price to get to where I'm going to. The other things, hard work, be on top of your game, be commercially aware. If it's something that you're interested in, you need to know. If you're advising lenders all the time, you don't need anybody to tell you. You need to know what's happening in the FX market. You need to know what's happening with the CBN. If you're doing a lot of capital market transactions, you don't need anybody to tell you. You need to be best friends with the SEC rules. You need to know what's happening. What does this mean? What does this new regulation mean? What's happening in the markets? What does the NGX index, whatever, mean? You need to be on top of your game. So I think I want to take it for granted that we know that we need to be hardworking. I want to take it for granted that we know that we need to go the extra mile. I want to take it for granted that we know that ethics and character are very, very important, right? What I would just say is that once you have all of that pat down, what you need to do is to define what success means to you. And once you have that, at the top of your head, you're able to face it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. So, Sarah, she has said that you need to be resolute in your decision that I want to stay on this route of going through the traditional law firm, associate, senior associate, and managing counsel, or possibly partner. Did you ever, because you're in that route as well, did you ever waver like, oh, I think I heard they are paying more in-house. Should I go in-house, or should I think of going outside the country to go and do my LLM and perhaps get into a top law firm abroad? As in, she said it's not easy. So what can you tell young lawyers that are also, particularly those that maybe they were just called to the bar a year or 2 years ago, and they are thinking, being a traditional law firm associate is quite stressful. Can I just go in-house, maybe do Monday to Friday? And I think Duni is going to perhaps disabuse our minds on that, whether in-house is just Monday to Friday. So did you ever waver? Did you ever think twice that, should I just jump ship and things like that? And how can you encourage young lawyers listening?
Well, it's going to be essentially adding to what she has said, because where I am now, my mind is not wavering. I'm already at a point where I know what I want to do, and I know that I'm growing on that path. So that would happen in the beginning for any young lawyer, to be confused, to think, will I make it in this law firm or in any law firm at all? Do I need to go in-house? In fact, a lot of things are in now, so you get confused. Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? But if you have chosen, which is going to take a little time, if you have chosen to go on the law firm route, it's about building confidence, building competence. It's going to get to a point where it's not just about your technical knowledge. You have to build client trust. The partners in the firm have to see that the clients depend on you, such that they can also depend on you. You have to build your credibility for them to know that this person can grow here, this person takes this work seriously, this person, in fact, you have to think like a business person in the law firm. You have to think that this law firm is my business and I want it to grow. That is how you can be part partner. That's how you can be seen as partner material. You have to take ownership of the work, not just finishing your tasks. You have to get to the point where you're thinking, after finishing my task, what next? How does this get done? How do other people get to do all that they have to do so that this client is satisfied? If the clients depend on you, and in fact, if the clients seek you out to get things done, the partners would value you. If you are valued in your firm, that is how you get to grow and eventually make partner.
Okay, so
Yes.
you must be valued in your firm.
You must be valued
for you
in your firm
progress
to
in
be
that
able to
traditional
make.
route. And
Exactly.
also, just as she has said, you would be confused as a young lawyer at the beginning because of the various challenges you are facing. There's the economic challenge, inflation is biting into your salary. You are thinking, oh, in-house is promising more. In the interim, should I just jump in-house or should I just continue with that and things like that? Thank you very much. And Peace, do you have anything to add shortly? Peace, are you with us? Okay.
Hi. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, yes. So I think you may be listening to the panelists and think that, oh, I have to have everything all sorted out in my head. I have to define success. I have to do this. It's not always cut and dry many times. So sometimes I know there are two sets of people, or young professionals or young lawyers starting out their career. There are those who don't know what they want out of life, and there are those who already know what they want from the set go. If you are, so let me address first set from my perspective as a lawyer, a litigator in a law firm. So I'll say that if you are sure of what you want from the set go, all you need to do is strategize and focus on what you want. In also, on what you want, also try to ensure that what you want, you are able to make money out of what you want. Now, if you don't know what you want, the second category of people, just at the beginning, first to second or third year, you could still be floating, thinking, what do I want? But in your second to your third year, I think it's now the time for you to define what you want out of life. I think that Ayodele had summed it up properly, define what success means to you. What do I want to do with my life? Sometimes, and even while trying to answer that question, it may not be all cut out, it may not be all perfect. Steve Jobs would say connecting the dots, and everything will finally make a picture, a fine picture. So you may not know everything. For me, I think I don't know everything currently, but somewhere in my mind, I know what I don't want. And I also know what's a big picture of what I want. So I think it's fine in a law firm, if you have a structured law firm, starting there, look at what I do as a person is look at what I want and see people that exemplify what I want and see what they are doing right and try to do it and perhaps do better. So I'll say if you're currently an associate, I'm an associate, I think I am good at IP, or I started out my career, they were giving me a lot of IP matters, and now I think I've developed an interest in IP. Okay, how can I do IP better? Those above me, what are they doing that is making them an IP expert or an IP professional? What do I need to do? Well, maybe there's no one in my firm is an IP expert. What do I need to do? Perhaps look outside. I tell people that your career, so there is no one size fits all thing on how your career projection should go. It's a map that everyone is trying to carve out for themselves. It could be someone outside, you see the trajectory that you want to apply. It could be a gap in your firm. I've heard of stories of professionals, litigators, or people who became partners. They just came to their firm and saw a gap and thought to themselves, I can fill this gap. And it's very easy for you to succeed there because you have less competition. You don't have anybody. So within the shortest possible time, you're able to put your expertise there. And with expertise, people have talked about being commercially aware. I would want to also emphasize part of entrepreneurship. While you work as an employee, try to own the mindset of, if I own this firm, what would I want people to do? How would I ensure the sustainability of the firm? Having that mindset gives you an inner working of how the employer's mind works, and it also helps you to think about things you can do to contribute to the firm. So I think those are the things you need to do. Position yourself, look at your comparative advantage, look at people doing it. If there's no one, you can look outside, reach out to people, articulate what you want, focus on it, give it all your best. It's easier if you can focus. I think young professionals or young lawyers, one thing we do is because we are scattered everywhere, we're not able to focus on what we want. When you are able to articulate what you want, focus on it, give it all your best, and I'm certain that the sky will just be the beginning.
Thank you very much. And so, Oladuni, to you, you're in-house, you went through the second route. Kindly advise young lawyers contemplating going through the same route. What does it entail to be an in-house lawyer? I mean, I've heard people say, oh, litigation is very stressful. Law firm is very stressful. I'm closing 10, 11 at times, and the pay is not really commensurate with the effort I'm putting in. I think I will just go in-house. The pay is quite better than what I'm receiving currently, and I don't get to work very long hours like that. So what does it entail? Are there misconceptions? What are the career prospects of going in-house? What's the career projection like? And how do you derive satisfaction and fulfillment? And you could also tell us if there is any realistic ladder to climb on that route, or are you just stuck as an employee doing the same thing for years before retirement? So please, I mean, there are people here that are thinking of going in-house. Tell us what it entails and the kind of fulfillment that they can get from that.
Okay, thank you. I think to answer your question, I would first start by talking about common misconceptions, right, about going in-house. First misconception is the fact that you cannot go in-house until you have about 10 to 12 years post-call experience under your belt. First misconception.
Okay.
Second misconception. Okay, let me state the misconception and then you talk about it.
Yeah.
So on that misconception, the fact that you can't, you don't have about 10 to 12 years post-call experience under your belt, then you have nothing to offer in-house. I believe that's a misconception.
Okay.
Because, yes, experience, especially in our profession, teaches you a lot of things, right? How to navigate legal complexity, how to provide better legal advice. But the truth is that, as someone very close to me would always say, hard work, determination, grit, and focus, are things that are also very, very germane, and in certain times we experience without that. Now, I believe that when you are very focused and you know what you want out of your career, you have a very distinct career trajectory. That, okay, 5 years in, first of all, I know this is the area of law that I want to specialize in. This is what I want to provide advisory on. I believe that I'm a transaction lawyer. And then you know that, okay, 5 years in, this is where you want to be in your career. 10 years in, this is where you want to be, and the likes. I believe, and if you know that the best way for you to achieve that is, in a company, in an environment where you can gather technical experience in these specific areas, then there's nothing stopping you from going in-house from the jump. And
wow, even after you've just been called to bar and finished your NYSC, you would advise someone who thinks that I want to go in-house, would you advise such a person to go in-house from the jump?
Now, the answer to that question is yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. No, in terms of the fact that, of course, you need to have a bit of knowledge which you may not necessarily have you just coming out of those, right? There's that, but the willingness to learn and the ability to grasp certain things quickly, able to think fast, move on your feet as quickly as possible. Okay. These are some of the qualities that make you thrive in-house. Now, and the reason why I'm saying that You don't need to develop so many years experience, Okay, yes. So, thank you. So the reason why I say that you don't need to, spend 10 years in a law firm. Now, I don't have anything against persons that, right? Of course, experience is very key. Don't get me wrong. But then again, when you're entering very technical areas, right? Areas that require technical experience. And I'm not talking about general practice now. I'm talking about
private equity.
Yes, private equity. Finance. Those very technical areas that require you to not only have legal understanding, right, but also very core technical knowledge in finance or those specific areas. Sometimes it might be very key for you to start learning from the beginning, not having spent 12 years as
general practitioner.
A general practitioner, and then you're now transitioning into that area. I'm not saying that such persons will not thrive, definitely will. But what I'm saying is that, especially for those of us that are thinking along the lines of, transitioning to finance and law, right? Transitioning to energy, those very core areas, it might be important for you to transition early so that you can start garnering technical experience in those areas while you are still very, young and sharp. Now, second misconception is that there is no career progression in-house. You would go in-house and then you become an employee till you retire. That's a common misconception. It's not to say it does not happen.
Okay.
Right? Because some people go in-house and you you go to a company, and that's why you have to be very intentional if you want to move in-house, right? It's not just every offer that comes your way that you accept. You have to be very intentional when you want to know what you want, right? If you look at yourself and say, okay, you examine yourself and you're like, these are my strengths. These are the areas that I believe that I will thrive in. These are the areas that I believe that I can, provide, comprehensive legal advisory on, and you know that you can do that in-house, then you make the move into a very reputable organization, right? There are some organizations that you might go to, and of course, you just be providing general legal advisory.
Doing the same thing, monotonous
it will be
work.
Monotonous, right? And then there are organizations, for instance, say you move in-house as, into a bank, right? Or into a finance house. In banks, let me use my experience, right, as an example. So at EP Group, you come in as a legal analyst. That's like the first rung. So there's legal analyst, there's legal officer, there's, senior legal officer, there is general counsel, and then, of course, at the board level, company secretary.
Okay, so there are cadres in your own company.
And even within that cadres, there are sub-cadres, there are grades. So, for instance, since I happen to be in the finance sector, finance industry, there are grades, just like how we have it in banks, right? So, PU, ABU, SBU, and the likes. So, also get to, grow through these ranks, right? And promoted and all the other things that you can get, within a law firm as well.
Okay, because of time, I would like to ask them this last question. It's just quite unfortunate that we do not have a legal entrepreneur here as a young lawyer. I mean, for instance, Mubola Joriola and Joshua Daranijo of Allen and Brooks that started their own law firm as young lawyers. I mean, I was interning at Petstone and Grace in December 2018 when Mubola Joriola came in as an NYSC lawyer, and I think in 1 year or 2 years I discovered that he had started his own law firm as a partner, and I found that quite impressive. But there's this I won't say confusion. There are senior lawyers that think that very junior lawyers should not start law firms. And this is not something that is just in Nigeria. For instance, in the UK, there's this chambers called Garden Court Chambers. So it's a group of pupils that they did their compulsory pupillage. And after they completed their compulsory pupillage, they took a loan and set up their own chambers. And they've been doing fine ever since in Garden Court Chambers. But it was very non-traditional at that point that they started it, and there are still some seniors today that would not even refer jobs to very young lawyers that are starting out as entrepreneurs, because to them they have not garnered enough experience and they don't think they can deliver good work. So this question will start from Hayodele. Do you think that young lawyers today, based on the legal education that we have, based on the experience that you see that we are garnering, and with the exposure we have with LinkedIn, courses and things like that, do you think young lawyers of 3-4 years should, or do you think it's ethical in that sense? Because the ethical side might be that you might not be able to service your client's needs very well because you don't have that experience. Do you think it's proper or ideal or reasonable or possible for young lawyers 3-4 years post-call to band together to create law firms and begin to service clients? Do you think there are any ethical considerations or ethical issues there?
Okay, so I think the answer is, I don't think there's really any ethical consideration. To be honest, some of the big firms that we know today started as Garden Court Chambers. They didn't have any experience. I always jokingly say that the Igboshire law firm of today will become a VI firm of tomorrow. Everybody starts from somewhere, right? Okay. So I think that's the, and let's not shy away from the economic realities that we have in Nigeria. One thing I was saying one time is that you can do all the right things in life and still just end up somewhere you can't even explain. So let's not be very elitist about this thing. Let's encourage as many people as we can to do what they can do legally. If we're saying, oh, we want to live in a society, we don't want people to do Yahoo, then why are we looking down on people that are just trying to make two and two together? Okay. What I would just say is that collaborate. So it's the same way, like maybe, you know that I can get this job. I may not be good in shipping, but I have a friend in a law firm that can, you know, that does shipping. Can you just give me this weekend? Okay. Point me through. I've had to call somebody in a big firm and say, I had a customs thing. I said, I know you don't want to tell me the rule. Just tell me, give me the idea. After all, I'm a lawyer. I'll go and figure it out. Just give me 30 minutes. Give me a very high-level explanation of what is required, and I'll go and do it. There's so many deals. Like if I go for interviews and they ask me that, what are the biggest things I've done? There's some deals that I remember when I was there. I don't want to give so much details, where nobody in the firm had done it, and it was a very big deal because it was announced everywhere, you know. But we just, you know, learning on the job, reading, searching. So
even some of the very senior law firms, there are some times where they get some certain deals that they've not really had any experience on it, and they just had to
now look at law firms that have fintech practices. What was fintech how many years ago? 10 years ago, who was talking about fintech? But you get a partner from a law firm now, they'll speak about crypto, they'll speak about this, you're like, what happened? We didn't learn it anywhere. So I think that let's just not be elitist about this thing. Let's encourage as many people as we can.
So long as they collaborate wherever they do not have that particular expertise.
Yes, I think you can collaborate. Then there's mentorship as well. Like there are different arrangements that you can do legally. You can just probably, I know people that they get jobs and they give it to like somebody that is more experienced. I just have a finder's fee. Do you understand?
Okay, but
do you get? So there are different ways you can get around all those things.
So with that latest example that I just gave, getting a job from a client and giving it to a more experienced or knowledgeable person in that particular area, do you think there's an ethical consideration of disclosing that to the client?
Yes. So there are always disclosure arrangements here that there's a finder's fee. Yes.
Even aside the finder's fee, if you want to do it or collaborate together, do you think it's necessary to disclose to the client that, see, I'm collaborating with someone to do this your work, and that person is competent, and with also my grit, the knowledge of the facts, my relationship with you, I think that we can collaborate and service you well.
Like all the time. So even when you want to do bids, we've done bids as firms where you collaborate, you bring another firm. So I won't apply, for example, only as Templars. I'll bring somebody else and say, Templars and this person, because these partners in this firm have stronger strengths, and you understand. So it's not new. I've done like bids where you see firms, when I'm doing the envelope opening, firms come as a consortium, like 3 or 4 firms will come together and say, we're going to provide legal services on this, because
so
they know that.
Can do that as well?
Yes, they can. They can, definitely.
Okay. Sarah, shortly, what do you think?
Yes, what I'm going to say is that there shouldn't be any pressure on young lawyers to begin firms just from the get-go. I think that there's nothing wrong, though, in starting a law firm. It's just that it has to be people who are ready to do the work, people who are ready to own a firm that should start a firm that young. It's always important that if you are going to own a business, you should be able to deal with that business. You should have knowledge. You should have credibility. You should have financial prudence. There's a lot. You should have structure. You should have discipline to be able to show that a business. A law firm is a business. It's not just because you have finished law school, you know you're a lawyer, then you begin to work as a lawyer on your own. It's to me, I feel it's important that you grow, you gain experience, you build your network, you get mentors. And when I say network, I'm talking about horizontally, because it is your mates that give you briefs. Most of the times, it's not the senior colleagues that give young lawyers briefs. People who own firms, it's usually your mates. And then it's your mates that you can ask questions when you are in a fix. Okay. We have class groups, you drop your questions. We have communities where you can drop questions and deal with issues, but there shouldn't be that pressure. Any person who wants to start a law firm should be ready to do the work before they can.
So long as you know you are ready and you think that you are working towards, or you've worked to an extent towards getting certain competence to service your clients, you think that young lawyers can band together to form partnerships?
I strongly believe so. Although I would just add that, well, in my experience, pupillage is really, really important. Okay. And you need your senior mentors as well, who have law firms and who can guide you in how to run a law firm. Because it's not just technical knowledge. A law firm is actually a business. There's the administrative part of it that you don't really get to learn about that much in law school. So you have to be ready to do it before you get to do it.
Okay, thank you very much. So because of time, to the young lawyers in the audience, our senior panelists have said that we shouldn't be elitist about this thing, and we should not also feel pressured. If you think that you have what it takes as young lawyers to band together, so long as you are seeking advice and you have the competence to service your clients, do not bother about whatever one person might say, so long as you know that you are able to service your clients and you can also work with guidance and mentoring. I believe that that would help you, and there would be no ethical considerations or ethical flaws in that particular decision of yours. And now, because of our time, we would open the floor for question and answers. So if you have any questions, please come to the front to use the microphone. I mean, I can see some of our seniors here. Mr. Chairman is here as well, and Mr. Chairman is a partner who grew up the ranks. So, Mr. Chairman, we would also need you to answer questions if need be. Thank you very much. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, your name and your question.
Okay. Mine is a contribution.
Okay.
Comment. My name is Oluwasegun Ikuforiji. I just want to make a comment just to emphasize what the panelists have said. It's good as a lawyer to start off very quickly, but it's also important to undergo pupillage. I'm a dispute resolution person. I don't know how it works in corporate and commercial, but as a litigator, I would advise that you do pupillage for at least 5 years.
5?
Yeah, that's my opinion. I would say why.
Chambers, people did just 1 year.
I would say why.
Okay.
I see very often, there are some times that, okay, before I started doing trials, I cut my teeth in trial in 2019 when the firm I was working with then had 3 election petitions to handle. Before then, I didn't have any opportunity. Yeah, we're always going to court. But the silk told me, he said, Shegun, I want you to participate in this election petition in this 6 months. He said the experience that people who go to regular court will not gather in 10 years, in this 6 months you will gather it. And I saw it. There were many SANs. I saw hordes of witnesses, the same process, examination, cross-examination, I saw it for hordes of witnesses. After that experience, I did my first trial before Ogundari in Badagry, and that was it. After that time, it was easy for me to learn the rudiment, knowing when to withdraw a document, knowing how to object. There are ways that the learner seeker I trained on that would object. If I see an originating process, I know it's objection. You can't just acquire that without pupillage.
But what if you are able to get that, luckily for you, within that 1 year pupillage? If you get, for instance, if you get into a firm as a young lawyer during election petition season, and you learn lots of things like that, you even see the appeals to the election petition, appellate court.
See, even for those who are 40 years at the bar, as a litigator, you are learning every day. There's a section of the Evidence Act on tendering, for example, tending a document through an adverse witness. I learned that from the learner seek, and it's a secret we use. It's not something that is so popular. So every litigator, every SAN has secret they use. So if you don't stay long enough under them, you may not get their secret to push you forward. So that's it doesn't have to be something that other people will use. But for me, so that you don't become a danger that is going somewhere to happen. As a litigator, I would advise that you stay under a reputable litigator for certain years before you step out.
So not necessarily 5 years, but so long as you can learn the secrets. Is that your point?
If you can do that in 2 years. But for me, I would have loved to even do 10 years.
Okay,
I'm a big fan of litigation, and it's paying off for me. There are some of my, Saliji is my classmate. There are many of my classmates who refer cases to me outside Lagos, Ibadan, or cases that other people have messed up. I'm still very young. I'm 9 years post-call, but I'm still learning.
No problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Shegun.
Can I say something? Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, esteemed panelists and my fellow colleagues. My name is Eniola Deho, and my question goes thus. So, as a young lawyer starting, let's say in a law firm, your practice, right? Most times people would say there is a specific time frame you're supposed to stay in, specific period of time you're supposed to stay in this law firm, let's say 3-4 years before wanting to change to another law firm, particularly when you notice that this law firm is no longer giving you the professional growth that you want to attain. So my question is there a specific time frame I should consider or we should consider before saying, okay, I think I've had enough of this law firm.
And you want to move.
And I want to move.
I really, please, can you answer that and then Sarah as well?
Okay.
Because you are very senior associates.
No. Okay, so I would say that to be honest, there's no hard and fast rule around it, right? And I want to say something that Peace mentioned, because when I like to talk to young people like me, I always also remember that I know I sound very all put together and all that, but I remember that I don't think I started my career thinking, oh, this is what I wanted to do, this is how I want to do it. So what I would say is that clarity it doesn't come easily. For some people, it comes very quickly. Even from law school, they already know this is what they wanted to do. When I left law school, I thought I was going to become an SAN. Up until 2018, in fact, I used to be I used to be Africa representative for the LCIA YIAG. And my mentor called me one day and said, if these people find out that their arbitration representative is busy doing capital market deals, what would they say? So the point I'm trying to make here, and I want to be as real and vulnerable as possible, is that I know sometimes we come up here, we sound so like, oh, all put together. I'm just saying that the journey to clarity is very messy. Very, very messy. You may try some things. And that's why I'm going to answer the question to say that I don't think that there's any particular way to go about it. You may stay 4 years in a place and figure out that, oh, this place is definitely not good for me. You may need to stay longer and do 8 years and realize, look, I'm not going to do this. But what I would just say is that at the end of the day, I think just So I know that when I said, oh, define what success means to you, I know somebody's probably thinking, I don't even know what I want. And that's okay, because I understand where you're coming from. But one thing I told myself, in my journey to just trying to figure things out, was to tell myself, two things I used to tell myself. The first thing I used to tell myself was, if you ask me 5 years down the line, that knowing what I knew at that time, would I have taken a different decision? The answer should be no. So what I used to tell myself is, I need to make informed decisions at all times. I need to know, based on the information that I have now, what is the right thing to do. That's number one. Then number two, the second thing I always tell myself is that whatever my hands find to do, I do it with all of my heart. If you tell me to wash the toilet, if what I'm doing now is washing the toilet, I may not know where I want to go in the next 2 months, but you see that toilet, I will wash it, it will sparkle, it will be clean. And I think that that's one of the ways you get clarity. By the time you go to court and come back, you realize that, oh, I'm actually not bad at this thing. I can write an article on it. I can, expand on it. I can do this and that. I don't know if that makes sense. So I just want to answer. Let me just answer the question and say there are no hard and fast rules to this thing. You may stay in a law firm for 4 years. You may stay in a law firm for 8 years. What I would just say is that if what you are doing at that time, can you just do it thoroughly? Can you just do it with everything that you have? And you know that even if anybody asks you 5 years down the line, you know that I gave this thing my best. I gave it everything I had. I would not have done anything differently. I don't know if that helps.
Sarah, do you want to add something?
Yes, please. So I would like to answer that question with a very short story. So in the beginning, I was employed in a financial institution, but because my call was still like 3 months away, I could not be posted to the legal department, which was what I wanted. And then after the call, I began to process my transfer to the legal department, and somebody advised me that I needed to gain law firm experience, practice experience before I could work in the legal department. And then I left. I actually took a pay cut to gain practice experience. And unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I never went back. I never went back in-house. I never went there. In fact, my interest completely changed.
In love?
I fell in love.
With dispute resolution?
With dispute resolution. So I just want to assume that that question is not coming from a place of, this place is not okay for me because of how much they are paying me. If what you are there for is to learn, you will find that you are growing. And then you will know that I've gotten to this point where I need to move. That your move is not driven by economic factors. I know it's very important, but you're not driven by that. So, because if you're moving every year, find the next 100,000 added to your current salary, you move. The next 100,000, you will find that your profile, your resume will be very watery. Such that even future places, bigger opportunities will feel like I can't rely on this person. Who's to say that this person would not move in the next 1 year? Or what drives this person, that the person is moving from one place to another? You have to know why you are in a particular place at a particular time, and you have to have the plan, the future plan. What do I want to gain in this place, and how long do I want to stay? So there's really no specific time. People learn in shorter times. People take longer time to learn. But whatever it is, don't be driven by the economic factors if that place is very useful to you.
Yeah, Timmy, you want to add something?
Yeah, so there's something that my deputy managing partner said to us a few years back during our induction, Mr. Wolimi SYSN. And he said, you will get to a point where you would learn to stop calculating your journey by years of call and start looking at it by way of the experience you've gained. So it shouldn't really be a function, just as they've said. It shouldn't be a function of, well, how many years have I spent in practice, but more about what you're learning in that period. Because take, for instance, you could have someone that spent 3 years in a particular firm where they got exposed to really core finance transactions, capital markets, debt finance, trade finance.
Within those 3 years?
Within those 3 years. Because, say for instance, they're so busy that they do 30 different transactions per annum, right? But then you have someone in a different law firm where they probably don't get to do those 30 in 10 years, right? But the exposure of the person that spent 3 years working on about 30, right, is a lot more than the person that spent,
10 years,
working on way less. So it's, again, more a function, especially as young lawyers, right? Not ignoring the need to, cater to your economic situation. But one of the main focuses of the early years of your journey should be on exposure. So if you feel like you're stagnated and you're not learning wherever you are, I feel like that's a very valid reason to try to find something that puts you in a situation where you're able to learn. Because really, a lawyer that stops learning is just a tradesperson at that point.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, that's the more important thing in my opinion.
Thank you very much. Now, your question, please. Introduce yourself and tell us your question. And you may also direct it to a particular person on the panel, including Peace.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much to the panelists for the insightful session. My question is directed to any of the panelists. So one is that, Duni mentioned that for an in-house counsel, you don't, whether you need experience, the answer is yes or no. But recently, I saw a job opportunity with Dangote and Lafarge. I'm actually barely 2 years in practice, a year plus. So, and the eligibility, one of the eligibility criteria is to have 3 to 5 years working in a big Nigerian leading law firm. So, and there am I. I'm not practicing in a Nigerian leading law firm, and and I think that's actually the standard for most organizations, big organizations. So, do you think there is actually a possibility for someone who is starting like myself, not in a Nigerian leading law firm, and with barely 2 years experience, work experience, to actually go into a good organization as an in-house counsel? Then secondly, what's your perspective about a young lawyer working remotely? There is a big emphasis on practice, experience, the need to be mentored, but I just want to get a perspective of, because I get so many comments that, even from my dad, that why not go into a firm where you can, learn and all of that, because I work remotely for a firm. Then the third question is regarding international law. International law. I'm an enthusiast of international law and policy reform, but I just want to, I don't know if there's any of the panelists that can relate, to that kind of interest, but how best can you, even if it is anybody in the audience that can answer the question, how best can you position yourself as a young lawyer in the international space, contributing to policy reforms in the finance or in the economy at large? Thank you very much.
Okay, so Duni would answer the question on in-house, and I think I would answer the question on international law.
Most of the times when it comes to applications in-house, that's what you get, really. Which, of course, points to the fact that you do need to have basic experience. I'm going to use my own case or my own situation as an example. So at the time when I was still at my previous law firm, I saw the application to go in-house, and then I was like, okay. They also, funny enough, they also asked for the same number of years, 3 to 5 years, and I was just 2 years basically at the bar. And I was like, okay, this aligns with my future career path, right? And this is something that I want to do. I don't have 3 years experience yet. However, let me see how I can just get in the mix. So, and I know that there are some people who do this where they see a number of years stated for experience, and they just decide to shoot an email or something.
And it might work out. Just try your luck.
And trust me, it's part of what I talked about. That's it. Knowing what you want and pushing hard for it, regardless of whatever barriers that may exist. And I shot them an email, and not only that, I went to one of the top managers in the company LinkedIn page, and sent a connection message to the person, just talking about how I'm very interested in this. Even though I just have 2 years experience, these are the things that I have done to develop myself in private equity and basically supply chain finance and the likes, the areas that they provide services in, and telling them that definitely I know that I will be able to get the work done. And I remember that at the interview we were about 6, and I was the only one who
had less experience.
Had less than 3 years experience.
Okay.
And I can say that at the end of the day, I was the one who got in.
Oh, that's nice.
At the end of the day, of course, during the interview, one of the major questions was, you don't have up to 3 years experience. How do you think you can cope in this environment? Do you think, the questions that would come naturally for persons who do not have the required number of years experience. But again, as I said, while experience is very important, willingness to learn, willingness to develop yourself, capacity, those are very germane things that every potential employer wants to see in you. They want to see whether you have the grit to do the work, and whether you can, develop yourself, and whether you actually have the drive to, get the job done at the end of the day. And to be fair, I also want to end on this note. It might sound funny, but the truth is that learning on the job is highly, highly underrated.
Yeah.
There are so many things that you think that experience would do for you, that you'll be shocked when you are in the position to actually get it done. And you have that drive to get it done, you will get it done.
Okay.
That is just the honest truth.
Okay.
And yeah, so.
Thank you very much. And to answer the question on international law, because I'm also into international law, what I would just say is, as an African, it's quite difficult for you to get into international law, particularly when you are competing with others. But let me just give you a breakdown of how I have been able to do it to an extent, because I'm also still trying to get into the space. I used LinkedIn to my advantage, and I was ready to do the job. So I applied for free courses, the IBA course on Introduction to International Criminal Law, and after that, I would send connection requests to those on LinkedIn, Europeans, Americans that are into international law, and I would reach out to them. In fact, one of them suggested that, okay, are you willing to write an article? Why not? I wrote an article, and it was published on an island law blog. From there, I messaged the president of the Canadian Institute for International Law Expertise, CIFU. He told me that, there's a space to write an article for our journal. I said, why not? I did the research, I submitted my article, and they really liked the article. It was published there. There was a call in 2023 that they want to do a book project on international law and artificial intelligence. It was very novel to me, but I did lots of research, and I decided I was going to write an article on artificial intelligence and international criminal law. I did that. So I'm a published author in international law, and I'm still trying my best, because the thing is, it's quite difficult for Africans. In Europe, with your European visa, if you're a European, you can easily crisscross to go for conferences within Europe. But in Nigeria, you have visa issues, you have sponsorship issues there. They can get sponsors from European Union and things like that. But the thing is, just try your best to do the hard work, because you are competing with people that have it easier than you do because of their nationality. But you just have to do your best. So I think that's that. So for our question, please, for the two questioners remaining, just one question each so that we can move on, because the time. is fast spent.
Peace wants to say something.
Okay. Oh, Peace. Okay, thank you.
So I'm also, when you were talking, I was just laughing because when I was in school, I did international law and diplomacy, and then I switched to law in my second year. And international law is still the big picture, practicing before international courts and all that. I think there are opportunities. I will not say that as an African you are prejudiced. I just think that you are not in. Yes, perhaps a bit slightly, but not that you're entirely prejudiced.
Yes, definitely.
I think that you're not in the space of opportunities. So currently there is this American Society of International Law Mentorship Program that they have for women. I'm currently a mentee. My mentor is Mrs. Abayana. I think she's currently the mission officer, the head of mission for Ghana. So maybe this Senegal or Germany. So she's currently my mentor. And I know that there are various, I think what I wanted to just highlight is identify what area of international law you want to focus on. If it's international arbitration, you need to start doing that. International arbitration is international law. If it's international environmental law, you need to start positioning yourself. So for example, I have currently the African Union is currently representing, the African Union is representing itself before the ICJ. I know we know about this climate change issue. What did I do? I reached out to the head of legal of African Union. And I asked, oh, sorry, I know the African Union is doing this. Can I pro bono research work for you? I'm not going to pay, I'm just interested in it. Similarly, I gave a speech at Unilag last year, and I met Mr. Charles. He's currently, he's representing Nigeria, his firm and somebody else, with respect to this right to strike before the International Court of Justice. And I told him, sir, if you're interested in international law, please, if you have anything you want me to do, feel free to just get me added. I'm just citing these examples to make you see that as an African, don't just close your mind to the fact that there are no opportunities.
Try to network.
There are opportunities. Just pro bono, reach out to them on a pro bono basis. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peace. And so, the last question, please.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here. I want to thank the committee. During registration, I saw they made provision for aspiring lawyers and also those who are yet to be called to bar, and I found out really thoughtful. Okay. So I have just one question to ask. What is the opinion of the committee when it comes to a young lawyer focusing on just one aspect of law? Like
specializing from the get-go? Yes,
from the get-go, just one, let's say property. I would like to know the opinion.
Would you go for that?
Okay, what if Timmy, do you want to take the question?
On specialization?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So the first thing I would say is I do not recommend.
Okay.
Not at all, not in the slightest.
Sorry, also don't recommend.
You know, again, the very first, or the underlying principle, yeah, I think it's failing. But yeah, the underlying principle for young lawyers, right, is always going to be learning, right? And I think you do yourself a great disservice if you hold yourself into one small bracket
as a
young lawyer and say that's just where you want to practice. Now, it's not completely clear-cut.
Okay.
Right? Because you find that in practice here and even abroad, law firms have evolved to the point where, once you get in, you're mostly placed in a particular seat, right? A particular team.
Department.
So it's difficult for you to avoid specialization. But then, first thing I would say is self-development is primarily a cross for you to carry, right? So even if you find yourself in a situation where you have to work in a particular team, and that's primarily what you get to do, you still owe it to yourself for your own benefit and even for the benefit of your firm to be able to seek out experience in other practice areas, either by collaborating with other teams, working on cross-disciplinary transactions, or in some firms, for instance, I know that some firms will tell you, even if you're assigned to one team, you have to use a particular percentage of your time with other teams as well. So all these factors together help you to deal with from disciplines that are not necessarily, within, you could pick up something from acquisitions that, might one day be useful in your finance practice. You could pick up a principle from finance that might one day be useful, in acquisitions or private wealth or whatever you're doing. Even litigation as well, right? And that's why, even especially in your first 2 years, you find that most firms tend to rotate you, right? The firms that are largely divided into specialized units will tend to rotate you. The firms that do not really have that kind of specialization will make you work across different practice groups. So it might seem stressful, but I would strongly stand by the fact that that's the best way to go for any young lawyer. I don't think you would even find any successful, like any of the top lawyers in this country that you would typically look up to, who will tell you that they've only done this one specific thing, and litigation is not in part of it, because with litigation you actually touch on several
General
practice
practice
areas,
litigation.
right? General practice. So the point is, I don't think there's anyone. It would be rare to find anyone that would say this one thing is what from year 1 down to year 25. That's all they've done. So I don't think
in Nigeria or in the what of it, foreign legal markets.
Even in the foreign legal market, you typically spend 2 years rotating across at least 4 seats. So it is a constant principle across board. You would typically get experience from different areas because that's what makes up the complete lawyer.
Thank you very much, and let's give a round of applause to the panelists. Thank you.
Now, I would like to call on the NBA Lagos YLF chair, Blessing Jayola, to speak to us for a couple of minutes before we have the award presentation for our panelists. Please, let's give her a round of applause as she comes up.
Good afternoon, distinguished panelists. On behalf of the Young Lawyers Forum, Nigerian Bar Association Lagos branch, I want to thank you very much for making today's session a remarkable success. The wealth of knowledge shared and your practical guidance, the experiences have not only enlightened us, but has inspired and challenged us to be more intentional about the kind of lawyer we aspire to be. So thank you very much. And I want to especially thank Mr. Olabisi Makanjola, the chairman of the branch, for his continued support to the development of young lawyers. Thank you very much, sir. To the planning committee, the chairman of the Law Week Planning Committee and the entire committee, thank you so much for the hard work and thoughtful planning that has been put in to make this session a success. And to all the participants, thank you very much. From the session today, we've seen that to be outstanding in our legal profession, we have to be able to embrace continuous learning and be intentional and be ethical. So I hope that we can take the lessons learned today and apply it going forward in our day-to-day dealings as young lawyers. Thank you very much once again.
And now I would like to call up the NBA Lagos branch chairman, Mr. Olabisi Makanjola, for the award presentation to the panelists. Please let's give him a round of applause as he comes up. We can keep clapping until he comes up on stage. Thank you.
Blessing, please come. On behalf of the branch, I say a big thank you. Thank you so much. Next one. Again, thank you so much on behalf of the branch. Starboy. Two men we work together, and I've seen Temi grow from a copper to where he is today. And I say Nolano Ajayi. Temi, thank you so much. On behalf of the branch, I say a big thank you for sharing knowledge. Save the best for last. Immediate past chairman of YLF. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, picture time, please. Can we take a group picture? Do we have any ESCO members here or members of the Law Conference Planning Committee? Please, you come up next. We'll just take a group picture together.